I created a Tinder profile for my lonely mother, but regretted it when I saw who was messaging her. My mom gave up everything to raise me. After my dad bailed, she was always there for me, the only one. All I wanted was to do something nice for her. So, I figured it wasn't too late for her to find love on a dating app. But Lord, what I definitely didn't expect was finding out who she was going on a date with. My name is Lucy, and I'm 23 years old. Like I usually do on weekends, I went to visit my mother, Phoebe, one weekend. On a serene and sun-drenched Saturday afternoon, I found myself in my mother Phoebe's cozy living room, a place that had always felt like a second skin. The room was bathed in a gentle, golden light that streamed through the large window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. The walls were adorned with framed photographs, each a frozen moment in time from my childhood, and the shelves were filled with cherished mementos that told the silent story of our lives. At 23, I was an only child, and for as long as I could remember, my mother, now 56, had been my entire world. My father had left when I was very young, and in his absence, my mother had poured every ounce of her love, energy, and time into raising me. She had never prioritized her own happiness or sought out companionship, and it was a reality that weighed on my heart. Now, I felt an overwhelming need to help her find the joy she so deserved. I held my phone, my focus entirely on her, a playful director guiding her through a photo shoot. It was my mission to create the perfect picture for a new chapter in her life. "Mom, stand by the window," I instructed, my voice filled with a gentle firmness. "No, not like that, more gracefully, like a cat." My mother's cheeks flushed with a faint pink, a youthful blush that made her look years younger. "A cat? Lucy at my age," she replied with a shy, disbelieving chuckle, her voice soft with self-consciousness. "It's never too late to feel like a woman," I insisted, my words flowing with an unshakable confidence. "Just listen to what I say. And don't look at the camera. Pretend you're gazing mysteriously out the window." Phoebe hesitated for a moment, then, with a quiet resignation, she complied. She moved to the window, her posture subtly shifting as she leaned slightly, her head tilted just so. Her gaze, once filled with her usual gentle warmth, transformed into a soft, pensive expression as she looked out into the distance. It was a beautiful, melancholic look that captured a deep sense of a life lived and a longing for something more. My heart ached with a mix of love and sorrow, and I quickly brought my phone up, my finger hovering over the shutter button. "Oh, hold still. Got it," I exclaimed, the phone clicking as I captured the perfect shot. A wide grin spread across my face as I showed her the image. "See, you look amazing, Mom." She took the phone from my hand, her eyes scanning the photo. A small, genuine smile slowly bloomed on her face, a rare sight that filled me with a quiet joy. "You think so?" she asked, her voice tinged with surprise and a hint of blossoming hope. "Absolutely. This is perfect for your Tinder profile," I declared, my excitement palpable. I immediately began to edit the photo, adjusting the brightness and contrast, wanting to ensure it was absolutely perfect before uploading it. A flicker of doubt, a shadow of her deep-seated insecurities, crossed her face. "Sweetheart, are you sure this is a good idea? I'm not young anymore. Who would want me there?" She trailed off, her voice fading into a whisper. I looked her directly in the eyes, my expression a mixture of firmness and deep affection. "Mom, don't you dare say that about yourself. Life doesn't end at 50. Love knows no age," I said, my voice unwavering, wanting her to truly believe my words. "You deserve to find happiness too." We then began the task of crafting her profile description, a shared mission that turned into a beautiful collaboration. We laughed as we brainstormed the right words, each phrase a careful, loving selection designed to capture the essence of her being. We decided to highlight her warm heart, her quiet strength, her love for gardening, and her passion for cooking. It was a beautiful process, one that helped her see herself through my eyes, as a vibrant, lovable woman with so much to offer. "How about this?" I asked, reading the final draft aloud. "Loving mother and avid gardener looking for someone to share laughs and good meals with. Believes love is timeless and life is full of surprises. What do you think?" My mother chuckled softly, a sound that was music to my ears. "It sounds lovely, Lucy. Thank you for doing this for me," she said, her voice filled with a profound gratitude that made my own heart swell. "Of course, Mom. You deserve to find someone special," I replied, pulling her into a warm, tight hug. "Now, let me show you how to use the app." I gave her a quick tutorial on the basics of online dating, explaining the simple mechanics of swiping left and right. I felt a surge of pride as I watched her absorb the information, her initial nervousness slowly giving way to a quiet curiosity. I felt confident that she was ready to embark on this new adventure. We shared one last laugh over the absurdity of it all before I said goodbye and headed back home, my heart filled with an overwhelming sense of hope for what the future might hold for her. I drove away, a smile on my face, the image of her beautiful, hopeful expression etched in my mind. The next day, as my workday began, I found myself in the office kitchen, engaged in my usual morning ritual. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, and the low hum of early morning chatter created a comforting start to the day. My office friend, Natalie, and I grabbed our coffees and settled at a table in the corner, a place where we could talk freely. Natalie immediately leaned in, her eyes twinkling with a conspiratorial excitement. "You won't believe this, Lucy. Michael, our boss, has been looking at his phone all day and smiling like a kid." I raised an eyebrow, a hint of genuine surprise in my voice. Michael was known for being a stoic, work-obsessed individual. The thought of him smiling at his phone was utterly surreal. "Michael? Smiling? What's going on with him?" Natalie's grin widened, her excitement palpable. "A woman. I'm sure he has someone. I mean, it's the only explanation. Michael is always so focused on work and never distracted. But today, he's been glued to his phone, smiling like a teenager in love." The image of our workaholic boss being smitten was both amusing and intriguing. We had never seen him with a woman, let alone acting in such a giddy manner. My curiosity, always an active part of my personality, was now fully piqued. "We have to find out who it is," I declared, my voice filled with a sense of playful urgency. We quickly devised a plan, a simple but effective strategy to get a glimpse of his phone. Natalie, carrying a stack of documents, approached Michael's desk with a carefully crafted lie. "Michael, could you take a look? I can't seem to find last week's report," she said, feigning confusion with a practiced ease. Michael sighed, his gaze reluctantly leaving his phone. "Natalie, you've worked here for years." "Let me see," he replied, his voice a low grumble as he took the documents from her. While he was distracted, I quietly crept up to his desk. My heart pounded in my chest as I reached for his phone, my fingers trembling slightly. I unlocked it, bracing myself for whatever I might find. But nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for the shock that coursed through me. It was my mother. He was messaging my mom. I felt a visceral jolt of disbelief, my mind struggling to process what my eyes were seeing. Their conversation, which had started last night, was filled with easy banter and a genuine, mutual interest. As I scrolled through their messages, my panic mounted. They had already arranged a date for that evening. My mom had invited him to dinner at her place. A wave of nauseous, overwhelming panic washed over me. No, this can't be. Not this. I thought frantically, my mind reeling. How could this be real? Why him, Mom? The man who was my boss, my professional authority figure, was now a potential suitor for my mother. I couldn't bear the thought of him becoming my stepfather. It would be an awkward, messy, and unbearable situation. I had to stop it. This couldn't happen. When Natalie and I reconvened, she was bursting with questions, her eyes wide with anticipation. "So, who is it? Do you know her?" I forced a smile, the lie feeling heavy on my tongue. "Oh, just some girl. Nothing special." Inside, my mind was racing, a whirlwind of frantic thoughts as I desperately tried to come up with a plan to prevent Michael from going on that date. If he went, everything would be ruined. As the workday drew to a close, I noticed Michael rushing to finish his work, an unusual sight for a man who was always the last to leave. I knew where he was rushing to, and it was my mission to stop him. As he began packing up his things, I approached him with my laptop. "Michael, do you have a minute?" I asked, my voice betraying none of the frantic energy I felt inside. I tried to sound casual, but my heart was pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. "I'm in a bit of a hurry. But sure, what do you need?" he replied, glancing at the clock on his phone with a visible sense of impatience. "I can't get this report right. Could you please check if everything is correct?" I handed him my laptop, hoping he wouldn't notice the deliberate errors I had planted throughout the document. Michael sighed, a low sound of resignation, and took the laptop from me. "All right, let's see what you've got," he said, opening the file and beginning to review the report. His attention was completely focused on the screen, a small victory for me. As he went through my fabricated mistakes, I couldn't help but notice his computer screen, which was still open with his own work. It was his project, the one he had been diligently working on all day to complete before his date. My heart pounded as I realized he would finish it in no time, and my desperate plan would fail. Lucy, I didn't expect these kinds of mistakes from you. You usually do great work. What's going on? He asked, looking up at me with genuine concern. Sorry, I'm not feeling well, I mumbled, trying to hide my anxiety and the gnawing guilt that was beginning to set in. Michael finished reviewing the report much faster than I had anticipated. It's done. Now, please don't distract me. I need to finish a few things, he said, quickly pushing my laptop aside and reopening his project file. Panic surged through me, a cold, sickening wave of fear. He was going to finish on time. In a desperate, impulsive act, I did something horrible, something I would instantly regret. Next to Michael's laptop was a cup of coffee. I knocked it over, pretending it was an accident, and watched in horror as the dark liquid spilled all over his computer. No! Lucy, what have you done? Michael shouted, grabbing the laptop and frantically trying to save it. But it was too late. The screen flickered, then went dark. The laptop wouldn't start. Oh, I'm so sorry. I stammered, a wave of gut-wrenching guilt washing over me. Michael looked at the ruined laptop with a deep sense of disappointment, then checked the time on his phone and sighed sadly. He typed something on his phone, a simple message that I knew was a cancellation. He then slowly took off his coat and sat back at his desk, his shoulders slumped in defeat. It's okay. I'll have to redo the project on another computer. Don't worry about it, he said, his voice flat with frustration. I felt terrible. Only when I saw the result of my actions, the visible disappointment on his face, and the knowledge that I had ruined his plans, did the full weight of what I had done hit me. But it was done, and I told myself there was no turning back. I tried to comfort myself with the thought that my mom would find a better match, that it was for the best. Back at my desk, the guilt intensified, a heavy, oppressive blanket that suffocated me. I felt like a terrible daughter, a terrible colleague, and a terrible person. The phone call I made to my mom moments later only solidified my misery. When she answered, her voice was quiet and sad. Maybe this isn't for me, sweetheart. I think I'll stop using the app. It's too hard for me, she said softly, a quiet sense of defeat in her tone. My heart ached with a pain so profound it was physical. Mom, don't worry, I'll come over tonight, I replied, my voice trembling. I knew in that moment that I had to fix this, no matter the cost. I walked back to Michael's office, my feet heavy with a newfound sense of purpose. My voice trembled slightly as I spoke. Michael, do you have a minute? I asked. There is one more thing I want to ask you. I needed to make things right. That evening, I stood on my mom's doorstep, my heart pounding in my chest. The cool evening air did little to calm my nerves as I waited, knowing that the moment of truth had arrived. I knocked on the door, and in my hand, I held the key to mending a bond one had so carelessly damaged. The door opened, and she stood there, looking shocked as she saw me standing with Michael, a man she had been waiting for all evening. Lucy, what are you doing here? She asked, her voice filled with surprise and confusion. Michael looked equally bewildered, his gaze shifting between my mother and me. Why did you bring me here, Lucy? He asked, his voice laced with confusion. He had been kind enough to give me a ride home, completely unaware of my true intentions. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. The words tumbled out, a flood of confession that had been building inside me all day. Mom, Michael, I need to confess something. I tried to sabotage your date, I blurted out, the words feeling both terrifying and liberating. Phoebe's eyes widened in confusion, a worried crease forming on her forehead. What are you talking about, sweetheart? Michael frowned, his gaze now filled with a serious intensity as he looked between my mom and me. Lucy, what do you mean? I felt the weight of my actions pressing down on me, a physical ache of guilt. Phoebe is my mom. When I found out you two were going on a date, I panicked and only thought about myself. I worried about how it would affect me and focused only on my own selfish feelings. In my selfishness, I forgot how this would impact you, I admitted, my voice trembling with emotion. Phoebe's expression softened as she stepped closer, her hand reaching out to touch my arm. Lucy, why would you do that? You know I haven't dated in so long. I know, Mom. And that's why I feel so terrible, I said, my eyes filling with tears that began to spill over. I was scared and selfish. I didn't think about how happy this could make you. I was only thinking about myself and how awkward it would be to have my boss as my stepfather. Michael looked thoughtful, his initial shock giving way to a deep understanding. Lucy, I had no idea Phoebe was your mother, but I appreciate your honesty. It takes courage to admit you were wrong. I nodded, wiping away a tear with the back of my hand. I'm really sorry. Now, I realize that you two might be perfect for each other. Maybe fate brought you together because you've both had such a hard time finding someone. Phoebe smiled gently, a warm and loving expression that filled me with a sense of relief. Sweetheart, I understand why you felt that way. But you need to know that my happiness means the world to me. And if Michael can bring that happiness, then we should give it a chance. Michael nodded in agreement, a genuine smile now gracing his face. Lucy, your mom is a wonderful woman. I would be honored to get to know her better. I felt an incredible sense of relief wash over me. Now that you know the truth, I just want to say one thing. No matter what happens, if you're happy, then I'm happier. I hope I can fix my mistake. Phoebe gave me a warm hug, her embrace a silent act of forgiveness. You already have, sweetheart. Thank you for being honest. She then turned to Michael, her eyes sparkling with a newfound hope. Come on in, Michael. Let's have that dinner. Michael smiled and stepped inside, a sense of quiet joy radiating from him. Thank you, Phoebe. My mom looked at me and extended the invitation. Would you like to join us, Lucy? I shook my head, a wide smile on my face as I began to back away from the door. No, Mom. This evening should be yours. Enjoy it. As the door closed behind them, a profound sense of peace and joy settled over me. I got into my car and drove home, the weight of my guilt finally lifted. My heart was light, and my mind was at ease. I was right, love truly knows no age.